10:44 a.m. The South China Sea, 212 miles northwest of the Philippine island of Luzon. Sky clear and hard blue, visibility unlimited. The kind of day where you can see every detail of every aircraft from 30 miles away if you know where to look. The sea below was deep and dark, 4,000 meters in places, and on its surface, running a standard transit at 18 knots on a heading of 240, was USS Fitzgerald, DDG-62, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, 87 officers and crew, her AN/SPY-1D radar turning in slow rotation, her weapons systems at normal peacetime readiness, her commanding officer in his at-sea cabin reviewing the morning's message traffic. 12 miles to the north, at 12,000 feet, a U.S. Navy EP-3E Ares II signals intelligence aircraft was running its collection orbit. The 4-engine turboprop had been on station since 8 a.m., its antenna arrays drinking in the electromagnetic spectrum across a 300-mile collection arc that covered the Paracel Islands, the Spratly Islands approaches, and the Chinese naval facilities at Woody Island and Fiery Cross Reef. Crew of 24. Unarmed. Flying its assigned orbit in international airspace over international waters, exactly as it had done on 437 previous missions in this theater. Neither crew knew that the order had already been given. In Beijing, the decision had been made 72 hours earlier, at a meeting of the Central Military Commission that had not been publicized, attended by no foreign officials, and recorded in no document that would ever reach Western intelligence. The deliberations had been long. The reasoning had been methodical. The conclusion had been unanimous. The South China Sea was Chinese sovereign territory. The 9-dash line was not a claim. It was a fact to be enforced. American surveillance aircraft had been violating Chinese sovereign airspace, as Beijing defined it, for decades. American warships had been conducting what Beijing called provocative freedom of navigation operations through Chinese waters, as Beijing defined them, with increasing frequency and decreasing deference. The moment had come, the CMC had decided, to establish consequences, real consequences, the kind that changed behavior permanently. The plan had two components executing simultaneously. Component 1, 2 J-11B fighters from the PLA Naval Air Force Base at Woody Island would intercept the EP-3E and force it down, not destroy it. The intelligence value of the aircraft, its crew, and its collection systems was significant. Force it to land at Woody Island under threat of being shot down. 24 American signals intelligence personnel, their equipment, their mission data, a propaganda and intelligence windfall of incalculable value, combined with a demonstration that American surveillance aircraft operated in Chinese waters at Chinese discretion. Component 2, 2 Type 052D destroyers operating from the Paracel Islands garrison, plan vessels Guiyang and Wuhan, would close to within firing range of USS Fitzgerald, and at the same moment the EP-3E was being intercepted. Fire a single YJ-18 anti-ship missile at the American destroyer. A single missile, not to start a war, to send a message. Strike one American ship. Force it to divert for damage control. Demonstrate that American surface combatants transiting the South China Sea did so at PLAN discretion. Establish the precedent. Create the new reality. The CMC assessed the American response window at 45 to 60 minutes before military assets could be brought to bear. In that window, the EP-3E would be on the ground at Woody Island, its crew in Chinese custody, its fate a diplomatic lever of enormous power. The damaged USS Fitzgerald would be managing casualties and flooding. America would be managing a crisis. And Beijing would be holding all the cards, crew, aircraft, the moral high ground of having merely defended its sovereign territory, and the demonstrated capability to strike American forces anywhere in the South China Sea. It was, the CMC believed, a masterstroke. They had made 5 catastrophic mistakes. The first mistake: they assumed the EP-3E was unescorted and unprotected. It was not. 48 miles to the east at 35,000 feet, 2 F-22A Raptors from the 199th Fighter Squadron at Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam had been flying a covert high-altitude escort of the EP-3E since its mission departure from Kadena Air Base that morning. The F-22s were running in complete emissions control. No radar, no IFF, no radio transmissions on monitored frequencies. They were invisible to every Chinese air defense radar in the theater. They had been escorting EP-3E collection missions in the South China Sea for 19 consecutive weeks following an intelligence assessment that flagged an elevated risk of Chinese interdiction. The PLA had no idea they existed in this airspace. The second mistake: the planned to fire a single YJ-18 at USS Fitzgerald assumed that USS Fitzgerald was the only American surface combatant within engagement range. She was not. USS Shiloh, CG-67, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, had been running in emissions control 61 miles south of Fitzgerald's position for the previous 30 hours. Her own radar dark, receiving the tactical picture via Link 16 from a P-8 Poseidon orbiting at altitude well to the east. USS Shiloh had been positioned specifically because the intelligence community had assessed a potential Chinese intercept operation in this area. Her commanding officer had pre-authorization for weapons release under standing rules of engagement if U.S. forces were fired upon. The third mistake: both Type 052D destroyers, Guiyang and Wuhan, had been under continuous surveillance for the previous 6 days. An MQ-4C Triton high-altitude maritime surveillance drone operating at 60,000 feet had been tracking their movements from the Paracel Island's anchorage. The moment both vessels got underway and set course toward USS Fitzgerald's projected track, the Triton's AI-assisted change detection algorithm flagged the movement within 4 minutes. That flag had reached 7th Fleet Headquarters at Yokosuka at 9:51 a.m., 53 minutes before the plan executed. The fourth mistake: they believed their J-11B intercept of the EP-3E would be a straightforward coercion of an unarmed turboprop aircraft by 2 supersonic fighters. The J-11B pilots had been briefed that the EP-3E had no escort because Chinese intelligence had found no escort. Chinese intelligence had found no escort because the F-22s had been operating in complete electromagnetic silence at an altitude and with a radar cross-section the Chinese surveillance assets could not resolve. The J-11B pilots were flying into an intercept of an unarmed aircraft. They were about to discover that they had not been alone in the sky. The fifth mistake, the one that collapsed the entire operation's premise, was the assumption that firing a missile at a U.S. Navy warship would produce a diplomatic crisis that America would manage cautiously and slowly, constrained by fear of escalation. That assumption was based on a misreading of the pre-delegated response authorities that had been quietly expanded by Pacific Fleet and approved by the National Command Authority following the South China Sea tension assessments of the previous 18 months. There was no cautious management. There was no slow deliberation. There was an immediate, pre-authorized, overwhelming response that had been planned, gamed, and pre-positioned for exactly this contingency. What happened in the next 31 minutes began America's most decisive demonstration of South China Sea resolve in the 21st century. At 10:44 a.m., the 2 J-11Bs from Woody Island descended from their patrol altitude and closed on the EP-3E from the northwest at Mach 1.2. Standard intercept geometry: come in fast, establish visual contact, move to close formation, and broadcast the demand to follow to Woody Island on guard frequency. The lead J-11B pilot had done this before, with other American aircraft. He expected compliance. He expected the slow turboprop to comply. At 10:44 a.m. and 31 seconds, the lead F-22 pilot, who had been watching the J-11B intercept develop on his passive infrared sensors for the previous 4 minutes, called the EP-3E crew on a pre-briefed encrypted frequency. Eagle Flight, Raptor Escort, you have 2 bandits inbound your bearing 341, Angels 12 closing fast. Hold your course. We have them. The EP-3E crew, trained for exactly this contingency, acknowledged and held course. At 10:44 a.m. and 48 seconds, Guiyang fired a single YJ-18 anti-ship missile at USS Fitzgerald from a range of 42 nautical miles. The YJ-18 ignited its turbojet engine, climbed to cruise altitude, and turned toward the American destroyer at Mach 0.8. USS Shiloh's radar had been tracking Guiyang for 6 hours. Her fire control computer had a firing solution on both planned destroyers, Guiyang and Wuhan, that had been continuously updated for the previous 40 minutes. The moment Shiloh's electronic warfare suite detected the YJ-18's active radar seeker going to acquisition mode, the unmistakable electronic signature of a missile that had just been fired, her commanding officer gave a single command: weapons free. At 10:45 a.m. and 12 seconds, USS Shiloh fired 2 SM-2 Block 3B missiles at the inbound YJ-18. The SM-2 found the YJ-18 at a range of 31 miles from USS Fitzgerald. 2 detonations. The YJ-18 fell into the South China Sea in 3 pieces. USS Fitzgerald had detected the missile launch on her own radar 7 seconds after Shiloh's SM-2 was already in the air. The crew never had to take evasive action. The threat was neutralized before her commanding officer had finished reading the flash message on his display. At 10:45 a.m., USS Shiloh fired 8 RGM-109 Tomahawk cruise missiles. 4 assigned to Guiyang, 4 assigned to Wuhan. Both planned destroyers had been so focused on USS Fitzgerald, their target, their plan, their objective, that neither vessel had detected USS Shiloh. She was not on their tactical picture. She did not exist to them. The Tomahawks were in the air for 11 minutes. At 10:47 a.m., the lead J-11B pilot completed his closure on the EP-3E and began his radio broadcast on guard frequency, ordering the aircraft to follow him to Woody Island. He did not finish the broadcast. At 10:47 a.m. and 19 seconds, the lead F-22 pilot executed a supersonic intercept from the J-11B's 6 o'clock position, directly behind and below, invisible against the sea background, and achieved radar lock at a range of 8 nautical miles. He broadcast on guard frequency, his voice calm. Plan aircraft, this is U.S. Navy escort. You are locked. Break off your intercept immediately, or you will be engaged. The J-11B pilot heard the lock-on warning tone in his cockpit simultaneously with the American radio call. He had been told there was no escort. His radar showed nothing. His missile warning receiver was screaming. Something was locked onto him from a position he could not see. He broke left hard and began climbing. His wingman broke right. The 2 J-11Bs separated rapidly and turned back toward Woody Island on afterburner. Neither fired a weapon. Neither came within 2 miles of the EP-3E again. The F-22 escorts maintained their lock until the J-11Bs were 30 miles away, then resumed their escort position. The EP-3E continued its collection orbit. At 10:56 a.m., the first Tomahawk struck Guiyang amidships. The planned Type 052D destroyer, 12,000 tons, was struck by 4 Tomahawk Block 5 missiles in a compressed impact sequence. The first hit the forward VLS section, the second struck the engineering spaces, the third hit the Combat Information Center superstructure, the fourth impacted the afterweapons magazine. The combined effect was catastrophic. Guiyang lost all propulsion, all power, and all buoyancy within 6 minutes. She sank at 11:03 a.m. in 4,100 meters of water. Wuhan, attempting emergency evasive maneuvers after her radar detected the inbound Tomahawks, was struck by 3 of her 4 assigned missiles. The fourth passed close aboard and impacted the sea 100 meters to starboard. A miss attributable to Wuhan's hard turn, changing her aspect angle in the Tomahawk's terminal approach. 3 impacts. Wuhan's stern was destroyed by the engineering space hit. Her forward section took 2 warheads that collapsed her superstructure and detonated her HHQ-16 VLS cells in a secondary explosion. She did not sink immediately. She burned, listing heavily to port, until she capsized at 11:41 a.m. At 11:02 a.m., 7th Fleet transmitted the pre-planned strike authorization to the 4 FA-18 Super Hornets from USS Carl Vinson that had been holding at their pre-briefed loiter point 180 miles east since 7:30 a.m. Their targets: the planned Naval Air Force facility at Woody Island, specifically the J-11B Squadron's hardened aircraft shelters, the fuel depot, and the Woody Island Naval Base pier infrastructure from which the 2 Type 052D destroyers had staged. The FA-18S arrived over Woody Island at 11:19 a.m. The island's HQ-9 air defense battery, which had been tracking contacts in the general area but had lost the emission-silent F-22s and had not anticipated a strike from this vector, achieved radar lock on the lead FA-18 at a range of 48 kilometers. The lead FA-18's ALQ-214 jammer immediately went active, degrading the HQ-9's track quality. The wingman, carrying 2 AGM-88E AARGM anti-radiation missiles, fired both at the HQ-9 radar at 11:21 a.m. The AARGM found the radar in 38 seconds. The HQ-9 battery ceased to function. 12 GBU-39. Small diameter bombs struck the J-11B hardened shelters in a pattern that collapsed 4 of 6 shelter entrances and destroyed 2 aircraft that had not yet been moved inside. 8 AGM-84 Harpoon missiles, 4 from the FA-18S and 4 launched from USS Shiloh, struck the Woody Island Pier facility, the fuel farm, and the Naval Supply Depot simultaneously. The fuel farm detonated in a fireball that was visible from the Philippine coast 80 miles away. The pier infrastructure that had serviced planned vessels at Woody Island for 11 years was destroyed in 4 minutes of continuous strikes. At 11:09 a.m., 6B-1B Lancers that had departed Andersen Air Force Base on Guam at 7:45 a.m., pre-positioned for exactly this contingency, were now within JASSMER release range of the Paracel Islands. Each B-1B carried 24 JASSMERs. Their targets were the military installations on Woody Island, Duncan Island, and Drummond Island, the 3 Paracel Island facilities that had served as the logistics and operational backbone of the plan's South China Sea operations for the previous decade. 144 JASSMERs, released in coordinated salvos over a 16-minute window, beginning at 11:14 a.m. The missiles flew their terrain-hugging approach profiles and arrived over their targets beginning at 11:31 a.m. The radar installation on Woody Island that had been monitoring American forces across the South China Sea for 8 years, destroyed. The hardened command facility on Woody Island, struck by 4 penetrating warheads, collapsed. The runway at Woody Island Airport, which had serviced planned military flights and the J-11B deployments for 6 years, cratered in 7 locations, rendered non-operational. The naval construction facility on Drummond Island, destroyed. The fuel storage complex on Duncan Island, destroyed. The planned garrison barracks on Woody Island, assessed as unoccupied based on overhead imagery, struck and collapsed. The 2 F-22s that had escorted the EP-3E through the entire engagement returned to their holding altitude and continued their escort until the collection mission completed its scheduled orbit at 1 p.m. The EP-3E landed at Kadena Air Base at 3:17 p.m. Its crew filed their intelligence reports. The collection mission was assessed as highly productive. The electromagnetic signatures of every planned system that had been activated during the engagement had been recorded in exquisite detail by the EP-3E's sensor suite. The final accounting was documented by Pacific Fleet Intelligence over the following 48 hours. Planned surface losses: Guiyang sunk, Wuhan sunk. 2 Type 052D destroyers, representing approximately 10% of the plan's most capable surface combatant fleet, on the bottom of the South China Sea. Combined crew of approximately 560 personnel. Survivors 41, recovered from life rafts by Philippine Coast Guard vessels over the subsequent 12 hours. Plan air losses: 0 aircraft shot down. 2 J-11B fighters that had broken off the intercept and fled to Woody Island were destroyed in their shelters by GBU-39 strikes. 2 additional J-11Bs destroyed on the hard stand. Plan installations destroyed: the Woody Island Naval Air Base Pier, fuel farm, and supply depot. The Woody Island radar installation. The Woody Island command facility. The Woody Island runway, non-operational. The Drummond Island Naval Construction Facility. The Duncan Island Fuel Complex. Total: 9 planned military installations across the Paracel Islands, reduced to non-functional status. IJ-18 anti-ship missiles fired at U.S. forces, 1. Intercepts, 1. U.S. ships struck, 0. EP-3. E aircraft forced down or captured, 0. EP-3E crew detained, 0. American aircraft lost, 0. American ships damaged, 0. American personnel killed or wounded, 0. USS Fitzgerald continued her transit at 18 knots. She filed her after-action report at 1:30 p.m. Her commanding officer noted that his crew had performed every procedure exactly as trained and that the engagement had been resolved before his ship had been required to take any defensive action whatsoever. In Beijing, the Central Military Commission convened an emergency session at noon. The operation they had called a masterstroke had produced the following outcomes: 2 destroyers sunk, 9 installations destroyed, the Paracel Islands military presence reduced to non-functional status, and the EP-3E, with its crew, its equipment, and its full day's intelligence collection, back at Kadena filing reports. The J-11B pilots who had been sent to intercept an unarmed turboprop had been locked up by an aircraft their radar could not find and their eyes could not see, from a position they had not known was occupied, and they had broken off and run. This had been broadcast on guard frequency. It had been recorded. It would be analyzed in every air force in the world. China's foreign ministry issued a statement at 4 p.m. condemning American aggression. It did not mention the YJ-18 missile. It did not mention the 2 destroyers. It did not mention the J-11B intercept attempt. It condemned, in the abstract, violations of Chinese sovereignty. No further planned vessel entered the waters within 100 miles of USS Fitzgerald's transit route for the following 11 days. The South China Sea did not become Chinese sovereign territory that Tuesday morning. It remained what it had always been: international waters, open to all, contested by none with the means or the will to contest it successfully. This is what happens when you mistake a long-prepared plan for a surprise. This is what happens when you fire 1 missile at a destroyer that is protected by a cruiser you did not know existed. Send 2 fighters to intercept an aircraft that is escorted by 2 Raptors your radar cannot find, and believe that Washington will spend 45 minutes deciding how to respond to an operation that Washington has been planning to respond to for 19 weeks. The EP-3E landed at Kadena at 3:17 p.m. The crew had coffee. They filed their reports. USS Fitzgerald continued southwest at 18 knots. Her radar was turning. Her weapons were ready. The South China Sea was open. It remains open. It will remain open.